Okay, we're going to start looking at problems 36, 37, 38, and 39. These are all problems that are worth either 4 or, last problem I believe is worth 6 points. So these are the ones that a lot of students, a lot of times don't even attempt because they think they don't know how to do them and they receive no points, which, especially on the Algebra 2 exam, you're going to have a hard time passing if you don't get any points on these problems that are worth more. So looking at number 36, it says find the exact the exact roots of x squared plus 10x minus 8 is equal to 0. All right, and they also specify you have to do it by completing the square. So if you were to do this using the quadratic formula, you would not receive full credit. Matter of fact, you probably only get a point. So and this cannot factor, so you wouldn't be able to do that anyway. It says exact, which means you're not going to want to put this in the calculator once you're done and get an answer, or like a decimal. You don't want that. All right, so to complete the square, what you're going to want to do, remember, you have an A, a B, and a C. So your A would actually be 1, your B is 10, your C is -8. What you want to do is move your C to the other side. So we're going to get x squared plus 10x is equal to 8. Actually, okay, yeah, we'll just go from here. So it's equal to 8. Now, what you're going to do is take half of your b value, don't forget the x, like I did. You take half of your b value, which is 10, and you're going to square that and add that to both sides. So typically when I write this, I'll usually leave a space here, and then I'll put something on the other side. So half of 10, or 10 divided by 2, is equal to 5. And we're going to square that. So we're going to end up with x squared plus 10x plus 25 is equal to 8. And to keep this equation balanced, you're going to have to do that on both sides. So now it's a balanced equation again, because we did the same thing on both sides. We added 25 to both sides. Now, whenever you complete the square, you should end up with something on the left that is factorable, or something on one side of the equation that is factorable, and it should be, in this case, it's going to be x plus 5 squared is equal to 33. So whenever you complete the square, you should end up with something that is factorable in this manner. All right, so now we want to solve for the roots, so we can go ahead and take the square root, take the square root, so we end up with x plus 5 is equal to the square root of 33. However, you have to account for the plus or minus. Since you have introduced a square root into the equation, you have to take into account the positive or negative potential root. And then we will go x, because we're going to subtract 5, and you get x is equal to plus or minus 33 minus 5. And when I looked at the answer key, that was acceptable as a full credit answer. You also could write it as x is equal to radical 30, let me write that again. Radical 33 minus 5, and negative radical 33 minus 5. So you could write it as two different solutions, but this way here was accepted full credit. All right, the next problem was, at least the first part of it, strictly a calculator problem. You have to know how to go into the table on the calculator, input these values, and they're asking for a exponential regression, rounding all values to the nearest 100. All right, so let's go ahead. I'm going to go to the calculator and show you what to do. So we come here, and I will go to it. Let's see, so I'm going to just get out of this. All right, so I'm here now. I'm going to clear all this. Now you're going to hit Stat. Now you're going to go to Edit. So I'm going to just stay at Edit right here. And I'm going to put in my x values, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm right? Now I'm going to go over to L2. So I'm going to go over in this column and put in my y values. 4.2, 33.5, 113.1, 268.1, 523.1. All right, now I have those in. Now I'm going to go back to stat. So I'm going to hit stat again, and I'm going to go to calculate. Now they have a lot of things you can use, but if you go down to number 10, that EXP stands for exponential regression. So I'm going to hit enter and go down to calculate, or you can just hit enter 4 times, hit enter here. All right, now it gives you the equation, it gives you the standard form. I'm going to move this over to my smartboard. So I'll put this here. And what you now have is a standard, so this would be an exponential equation. They give you a and b, and it's always going to be raised to the x power, the b value. So this is going to be y is equal to a. So our a value is going to be this one here. So we're going to round to the nearest hundredth, or I said hundredth, so that's going to be 2 point, looks like 20, because the 9 is in the hundredths place, and the 5 raises that up, which would become 10, which raises it up to 2.20, plus b would be 3.23 to the x. So that's going to be, and I imagine that would give you 2 points if you just knew how to use the calculator. All right? So now we're going to go ahead and do the next part. All right, so let's take a look at part B, or the second part, using this equation, predict the value of x if y is 426.21, rounding to the nearest 10. So only an algebraic solution can receive full credit. So you could, it would have been much easier if they gave you a value for x instead of evaluate for y. But they said, what's the value of x when y is something? So we want to set this up and do it algebraically. So we're going to have, in place of y, we're going to put this. So we're going to have 426.21 equals 2.20 plus 3.23 to the x. When you have a variable in the exponent like this, you're going to want to start thinking about using logs, right? So my first step, in this case, we want to get this x by itself. First thing we're going to want to do is subtract 2.20, subtract 2.20. We end up with, let's see, I'm just going to do that in the calculator. So let me do it. Got a calculator here. So let's see, 426.21 minus 2.20. So we have 424.01 is equal to 3.23 to the x power. All right, so in this case, what we could do is we could do the log of both, take the log of both sides. So log base 10, natural log, doesn't really matter, but we can do the log of both sides. So let's see, we're going to do, I'll use natural log. Remember, that's log base e. So the natural log here and the natural log, take the natural log of both sides. So now we have the natural log of 424, write this a little neater here. The natural log of 424.01 is equal to the natural log of 3.23 to the x. Now remember, whenever you do the log, when you're taking the log of something, if there is an exponent, you can drop that in front. So we end up with the natural log of 424.01 is equal to the x times the natural log of 3.23. Hopefully you remember how to do this, but we're going to now, remember we're trying to get x by itself, So we want to divide by the natural log of 3.23. You're going to need a calculator for this also. You can't do this in your head. So the natural log of that, and I'm going to plug that in the calculator, get the answer, and you end up with, so natural log of 3.23, I'm sorry, natural log of 424.01 divided by the natural log of 3.23, and I'm going to have to, I'll finish this just a second, so hopefully you've been working on it. Got a class coming in. I'll be back to finish it.